Well everyone, what's happening, and welcome back to another episode of Talking Tactics. This week we are breaking down the last pay-per-view of the year, and it's a vacant light heavyweight title fight between Jan Blachowicz and Magomed Ankalaev. So this is a really exciting fight, although it was supposed to be a rematch between Yuri and Glover, which I would have liked to see again after they had their epic first fight. But unfortunately Yuri has hurt his shoulder, and Glover needed more time to prepare for Ankalaev. So Jan's in, the former champ, and competing for a vacant belt for the second time, because the first time he won the belt it was vacant as well. So interestingly enough, it's vacant again this time when he's going for it again against the up and coming Russian. So let's get into this breakdown, and we'll start by pulling up the tail of the tape. We've got a record of 29-9 for Jan against 18-1 for Ankalaev, 3-1 in his last 4 for Jan, and 4-0 for the Russian. 6 foot against 6'3 for Ankalaev, so a 3-inch height advantage for him. 39 for Blachowicz and 30 for Ankalaev. 78-inch reach and a 75-inch reach for Ankalaev, so the reach advantage is going to the former champion. His stance for Jan is orthodox. He doesn't switch too much. Sometimes you'll see him switch southpaw the odd time just to fire his left kick, but he doesn't switch that often. He's mostly keeping it just traditional. And then Ankalaev has that southpaw style, and he's very, very good in that, which we're going to get into here now. So we're going to start with Ankalaev. He's a big southpaw who has a very educated lead hand, which is super important for southpaws. He uses his southpaw weapons with that left kick very well. He'll throw it to all targets, and he really digs it into the body. He uses that lead hand to set up his left hand really well, and also to set up his left kicks. One thing that I really like that he does is that he'll probe at you with his jab, fake the jab, and then loop around the corner with a hook. And he also has a great lead overhand or check hook, and then he fires that backhand straight after it, which we've seen him hurt people with, and we've even seen him put people out with it as well, including Ion Kutalaba. He really whips the kick up high effortlessly, and because it's coming from that southpaw stance, you need to make sure that your backhand's nice and high, or else he's going to catch you. We've seen him do it against Smith when he just fired the head kick up and caught him just off guard. It didn't knock him out, but it was still a great shot. He has good level takedown defense with 86% takedown defense, so he's very good at staying on his feet. Coming from Dagestan, even though it's not his style to be pushing that Dagestani wrestling, he's going to be well versed in that. I'm sure there's people in his gym with that style, so he's going to have people shooting on him and trying to impose that game on him. So that's why I believe his takedown defense is so high, and I really don't think that Jan will have the wrestling to be able to take Ankalaev down, and if he does, I don't see him being able to hold him down either. He has a little bit of 5-round experience. We've seen in his last fight against Thiago Santos, it was a 5-round fight, and it was a tough fight to be fair. We even seen him get hurt a couple of times with left hooks in that fight, which we're going to talk about a little bit more, but we did see him get hurt in that fight. Even though we did see him hurt Santos too and do some lovely stuff, he is going to have to be very careful, because the legendary Polish power, if he lands that left hook, it could be all over for him. He's just a big deadly striker that has power in both hands, both legs, the kind of power that's able to put you out with both hands or both legs. So it's going to have to be Jan is going to have to be very, very careful, because if he makes any mistakes whatsoever, especially with that right hook coming over the top, he could end up getting KO'd. Right, let's get into the former champ here. So like I said, this is his second title shot at a vacant title, but we have seen him win the title before and even defend it against the likes of Israel Adesanya. So he has been in here with deadly strikers before, and Adesanya switched southpaw a lot in that fight too, and he was able to deal with it quite well. I've also seen Jan have good success against southpaws like Luke Rockhold. He used his left kick in that fight really, really well on the legs and the body against Rockhold, and then that started to really bring the arms down of Rockhold, and then he ended up landing that legendary left hook and absolutely shut him out and completely KO'd him. So he has had success against southpaws. The big difference between Rockhold and Ankalaev is that Ankalaev has an actual very good lead hand, an educated lead hand, whereas I wouldn't say the same about Rockhold. I kind of do believe that Jan is pushing the back end of his career. He's been around for a long time and fought everyone, and you know, he's had his losses, he's had his ups and downs, and he's had his time at the top as well. So I do believe that he is at the back end of his career, but I don't think that he's done by any means. I do just think that Ankalaev is the fresher, younger, and faster fighter. That being said, though, Jan is a bit of a banger himself. He has 9 KOs, 9 submissions, so 18 finishes across the board, and he's very, very dangerous. We've also seen him against Adesanya of how good he is on top. If he gets on top, he's going to be very, very hard to shift, and we have seen, like I said, him get those 9 submissions and 5 of them coming from chokes as well. So it's not like he doesn't have a ground game. I think a lot of people maybe believe that after the seen his fight against Glover, but Glover is a really high level grappler and he was on top. I don't think Jan would be a great bottom fighter, but he is very heavy when he's on top of you. No doubt about it, his left hook is his best weapon. We've seen him KO people with this plenty of times. He even won the belt with it by KO and Dominic Reyes. So this is going to come down to, I believe, the ballad of the lead hand. Whose lead hand is going to do better and whose lead hand is going to get to the target first. Especially in that southpaw orthodox stance, it's going to be very important on who can dominate that lead hand battle. I do believe Ankalaev has a very educated lead hand, and being a natural southpaw, he has got more practice in all of those fights going against orthodoxes and using that lead hand battle, whereas Jan hasn't seen as many southpaws, but he does have a very good and powerful lead hand. The thing about Jan too is that he has an awkward rhythm, and he's quite good at staying out of danger as well. His rhythm is quite awkward and so's his timing, but that's also what makes him dangerous. Even though I did say that Ankalaev may be the fresher, younger fighter, Jan definitely has the experience advantage, especially when it comes to 5 rounds and in title fights, so that may play a factor as well. Definitely in the striking, where I believe this fight is going to be 90% taking place, both guys are going to have to be careful for the 25 minutes. Both of them have power in both hands and the ability to shut each other out, so I do hope that this fight doesn't turn into a bit of a too much of a chess match where guys are going to be afraid to take a risk because they understand the danger that's coming back. So I do hope that it's still going to be an exciting fight, but I do think that both guys are going to have to be very careful, and I just hope that that doesn't turn it into a boring fight. Outside of the striking, I don't see much of this fight taking place on the ground, unless maybe one guy gets dropped and the other one follows him down and tries to stay there. I think most of it, like I said, 90% is going to be taking place in the striking, with the other 10% probably against the cage or in the clinch trying to burn the clock down. So we're going to have a quick look at the style stats here and just break this fight down a little bit further. We've got Jan Blachowicz with an average fight time of 12 minutes and 20 versus 11 and 10 for Ankalaev. 9 wins by sub for Blachowicz, and I said 5 of those are coming from choke versus 0 for Ankalaev. 9 wins by KO versus 10 for Ankalaev. 11 wins by decision for Blachowicz and 8 wins for decision for Ankalaev. 2 losses by sub for Blachowicz, and we've seen that in his fight against Glover where he was subbed. And then the only loss on Ankalaev's career is when he was triangled by Paul Craig, who would literally triangle anyone at any time, so no harm in that, and it was a fight that he was winning up until he was triangled. Losses by TKO KO, 2 for Blachowicz and 0 for Ankalaev. Interestingly enough, Ankalaev fought Santos and beat him in decision, whereas Santos was actually able to knock Blachowicz out, so that's one of those TKO KO losses. 3.55 significant strikes per minute for Blachowicz, 3.64 for Ankalaev, and 1.08 average takedowns for Blachowicz and 0.94 for Ankalaev. So even though he is from Dagestan, he does not have that heavy wrestling Dagestani style. He's more of a Russian Soviet style boxer. Interestingly enough as well, that of those 18 finishes for Jan, that 7 of those have came in the first round. So in terms of my prediction, how do I see the fight going? To be honest, I really fancy Ankalaev for this fight. I think he's the fresher, younger fighter, and I think he has the power and the skills to be able to get this done. That being said though, he's going to have to be very careful for 25 minutes because the legendary Polish power could prevail again and send him to the shadow realm. But in terms of my prediction, I think that Ankalaev's going to get it done, and I think that he's going to get it done by finish. So that's it for another episode of Talking Tactics. I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. I'm looking forward to this card. It's a really good card, and the last pay-per-view of the year as well. So it's been a great year breaking down fights and breaking down pay-per-views. I'm really looking forward to getting into much more of these in the new year, and some really exciting things that are coming for the channel as well. So as always, if you're enjoying this content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more, and if you enjoyed today's video, please hit the like button, and of course let me know who you think's going to win in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.